7:01. Thank you all for joining. I'm Rick Green, Chairman of the Conservation Commission.
Mark Kresge, clerk.
Tony Capola, member.
Member.
Tom Larson, member.
All right. We'll just go through the agenda as printed out here. First thing is the minutes approval.
These are double-sided.
Yeah, I got the minutes here, I read them.
Yeah, nicely done.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nice job, Mark. This meeting is being recorded, I believe.
Yep.
Just so everyone knows. Okay, second item on the agenda is old business. We're going to reopen hearing, entertain a motion to reopen the public hearing.
I'll make a motion, we open.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Well, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Concom will hold a public hearing, or continue a public hearing on Tuesday. We held it on Tuesday, February 7th, and we're going to continue that tonight. On a notice of intent filed by James and Valerie Berthium for new single-family home construction on Lombard Road. Portions of the proposed work lie within wetland buffer zones. Plans may be viewed at the town clerk's office during regular business hours, etc. Okay. So where we left it, we had a presentation by Mr. Vitruba.
We did a site walk.
Did a site walk on Friday, 3 weeks ago now.
And we believe we meet criteria set forth in the Wetland Protection Act to allow us to build a single-family home on this pre-existing lot as proposed. We're seeking order of conditions to do so.
Did the site walk actually occur on that Friday?
It did.
The 10th?
Yeah.
Okay. So Tony and Rich went out and looked, and apparently it
Yeah,
looked
I've seen
appropriate.
no reason.
Yeah, everything looked fine.
Yeah.
Is there any concerns by the board then?
No, it was one of the better sites I've looked at in a long time.
Okay, that's nice. Is there any public comment on this? Any concerns? No. How about you?
Me? Very happy to accept your acceptance.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so
So we had talked last time about a stock list of conditions to append to orders.
Yes.
boilerplate.
Yeah. After that discussion, I removed the item on stump aerial, clarified concrete trucks. And I think everybody was comfortable with those. If they look good, we'll append them to this order of conditions.
Okay. Well, we've tried to get an answer several times on how much stumps you could bury, and we could never come up with any kind of a real answer. How about you, Tom? You got anything more to add?
I have not found anything in writing that tells you
I've heard a lot of things.
Yeah.
I know it was common practice to bury them close to property lines so that there'd never be an issue with settling as far as building on top of them. But I've never seen anything in writing.
No. And, I mean, we've asked that question a few times. We've run into conditions where they have been buried and
Yeah.
we couldn't get any real answers from anybody.
Okay, so if there's no more information from anyone in the room, entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion. Second.
All in favor? Okay, now we wanna just establish this order of conditions, which we have here, and on the plan, as far as erosion control, on the plan. Just to go over that again, what is that? The erosion control.
Mow you guys silt fence with the wattle, but whatever you guys want.
Right, that was
Well,
our discussion.
the property is pretty level. I mean, there's not a lot of grade there, so as far as I'm concerned, if the wattles is what you want to use,
Whatever they can get cheapest is what I wanna use. So I would like to leave it
Well,
open for them.
yeah,
Whoever they can shop around to, so.
but on that piece of property, I would have no
The envelope
objection to
is
the wattles.
pretty flat in the area.
And most pieces, I do have an objection to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so we have what we can append to this order of conditions here. Anything else we need to talk about? So, make a motion to, approve the order of conditions as written right here, and
I'll
vote to approve the projects.
I'll second the motion. I think it's good order of conditions.
Okay,
Do you know if the Board of Health that was supposed to at the last meeting, I haven't heard
I
anything.
do not know.
oh,
So that was second, Tony,
What's that?
second on that?
Yeah, I seconded it.
okay, all in favor? Approving the project.
All right, you guys need to sign away, and we will send them on their way with a completed order of conditions.
Nice.
Nice.
Do 2 copies. And that will need to be
Recorded.
recorded
Yep.
before we sign off on the building permit.
Yep.
Good night.
Once every 6 months is pretty good. Getting old. Getting old.
You got a lot of projects going?
Yeah, quite a few. It's kinda nice to know that still, people still wanting to live in houses.
That's funny.
They've been trying to tell us that that's not happening, but it's still happening.
It's still happening. Everyone wants their own
Everybody wants to
domicile.
live in their house.
What do we have, just one?
Well, you can't
Oh.
meet him when your name comes to
Yeah, I
head. He's got another one there.
You can have yours back, please, Stan.
Laura?
So you're getting younger, huh?
Do you have a new baby in your house? You do?
Congratulations.
Matt and his wife had another baby?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. How
Yeah.
long ago?
What did I say, 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
Oh, that's great.
Alright, who wants it? Start it with it, start it with your life.
I'll take it so I can record it.
Okay.
That
all
way
right.
it's
Yep.
not. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming by.
To everyone who was here, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry it took so long, but
Yeah, now I just have to hear back from.
Due diligence, it
Board of
works.
Health, because
It
they
works.
took my septic from approved and made it pending.
I'm
Okay,
sure this
pending
will
this.
be all set.
So, like, they said that there was a misunderstanding because they didn't realize that you were going to have the land blocked. So hopefully I'll hear
Yeah,
back.
somebody sent them a letter that they weren't supposed to send, because they didn't have the authority to do it. Which we're gonna
Anyway.
straighten out.
Good night, all.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
see
Take
you,
care.
Have a
see
good
you
night.
folks later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, new business. We have new business. We have a public hearing. I'd like to entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
Make a motion, we open the public hearing.
All in favor? Public hearing, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, for a request for determination of applicability, to determine the applicability of the Wetlands Protection Act for a septic system replacement at 51 Old Boston Turnpike, Hubbardston. And there you have it.
Perfect. Chris Stoddard, Stoddard Engineering, I'm representing the applicant. So, what we have here is, just this 2-bedroom septic system with failed leach field, and it's in the back, so north is straight up towards me, so on the southern side here, there is an existing pond on the abutting
We
property.
can turn it around your way if you.
And there's some flagged wetlands in the back of this parcel here, so what we did is we tried to site the new system as far away from all the wetlands as we could get it while still meeting Title V compliancy due to the fact there is an on-site well up in this corner. So we are proposing a new tank and a new leach field. Everything is within the existing yard area, already previously disturbed. There's a garden in this area that will be removed, fencing around it. We are proposing straw wattles and silt fence. That's pretty much it, I think. It's fairly straightforward upgrade. The existing system is actually sitting in groundwater right now, so this new system is going to be substantially better than what they have currently on the site. The existing tank will be pumped and removed. The existing system, leach field will be left in and replaced. We're not proposing any trees to be removed, so I think that's it, fairly simple. Any questions?
Seems impossible.
It is impossible,
It's impossible.
have you, this site was, when I got there, I just.
Did we go to
shook my head.
this, is this the place we looked at with a drop off?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was like shoehorned in here, and I stressed, this one took forever to figure out how to make it work. Cause the well is in the wrong, well, the well is
Right.
actually in the right spot, but.
Right, you can only do so much with the
Yeah,
property. Right.
yeah, and of course, we had to take soil samples, so the system's bigger than, it's just been a nightmare, but I think this is the best of the worst situation, so.
We're very, very limited.
I'm gonna bow to your expertise on this one, Tom.
Has it been approved by the Board of Health?
Yes, it has been approved. Subject to your approval, of course.
So I think we all understand that septics like this are extremely hard to make everything work.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's gonna be better than it was.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it looks like you've taken every precaution you can. You just make obviously the radius and stay as far away from wetlands in every
Yeah.
area you
We
can.
couldn't get any farther, cause then we would've violated the property line offsets and it was, yeah, we're pretty tight.
So, looks good to me.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. Rich? Concerns? Tony? All right. If there's no other information or how about objections from, or comments from the crowd? No? Okay. Then we will, if there's no more information, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion that we close the hearing.
Second. Tom, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Establish order conditions for this. We'll put the same boilerplate to it.
You can, certainly.
I would say everything that's on that plan, like we typically do.
So your determination is a negative determination that it's within the buffer zone, but will not alter an area subject to protection. Does not require filing a notice of intent subject to the following conditions.
Yes.
Attached conditions.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds like you're on the right track there. So, make a motion to approve the order conditions that were just talked about and approve the project.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Fantastic. So I'm getting a copy of that now, or?
Yeah, hold on just a second. Motion and second on that, sorry.
Yeah, I made a motion.
I second.
Tom second.
I may be out of that boilerplate page here. Get it back from somebody out there. Alright, so one signature page.
I think we can probably delete the concrete, there's no concrete being poured.
Yeah, I mean, it's
That's all right.
it's nice.
If it's in there, it's just something we'll abide by.
Just sign that way you get the sign.
Not even using
Tony's
my
gonna do
ink
this.
tonight. I'm doing good.
Yeah, Tony's gonna do that one.
Not like the old days when we had to sign in blood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
You too.
All right, very good. The next item of new business is a public hearing. Hubbardston Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, for request of the determination of applicability to determine the applicability of the Wetlands Protection Act for a septic system replacement at 9 Berry Road, Hubbardston. And plans are available tonight to look at. Okay, the motion, second. Rich, all in favor? Alright, we open up this meeting, and, is
How you
this Mr. Hanaloma's house?
Yes.
Hanaloma?
Barry Hanaloma, yeah, he's still in Florida, but I
Isn't that nice?
told him we're good. I told him to take care of him in the snow.
Okay,
Mark Elvin, the design engineer. It's pretty tough soil out there, so it ended up being a pretty big system. We get the well here that we're avoiding up front by the road. Right now, currently there's an old cesspool here, so we're gonna grab it coming out of the house and get it to work by gravity down in the field below his house. Right now, there's actually a mountain of earth there, I think from when he put the addition on his house some time back. So that's all proposed to be removed, and it's actually gonna work out well. We're gonna use it for the breakout material. So it'll actually help him for all those years of storing fill. I think it's been there for about 20 years. So that's it. Right now, it's all open, it's all field, it's all mowed. Edge of wetland is pretty much the high water, or is the high water mark, as it's backed up from beavers. There's no real wetland delineation, it's really edge of mow and high water mark. This is filed with Board of Health. I think they might start a new policy. It sounded like they're not gonna sign off until they have a Concom approval. So it's been sitting with Board of Health. I'm not it went in right around the time of when the new administrator started, so she was, I think, still kind of figuring out how she wants to handle things. And then it did go to DCR. So DCR issued a conditional approval based on a Board of Health approval.
I see.
So, one big circle.
Yeah.
So
we
that
might-
was watershed protection on this one?
Yes, it's in the, it's actually in the primary. That, the DCR map has it as a stream, but the beavers did such a number out there that it's now a wetland, so you really can't even tell where the primary line ends, because the resource is the stream channel, but the stream channel's pretty far underwater.
So now what do you do now? You take a measurement from the edge of the water?
So right now, I'm just showing it as edge of wetland, because the wetland is what concerns this commission. As far as DCR was concerned, they didn't make me delineate the 200 foot, because it's underwater. You know, the only real way to do that would be, I think, going out there and trying to get depths in a canoe or something. Since we're exempt anyways, that we didn't have to go through that process.
So, I think there's a couple things. One, and Mark, maybe you can help me out on this. I would think it's harder to design the septic to work around. Well, let me back up. I think it should get the septic approval first and then come here like it has been.
That's what I would think also.
Yeah, because if there's gonna be, well.
But I'm not saying in this case, I'm just saying in the future, if we relay that to Board of Health. And I have no problem okaying this
Yeah, I'm
tonight.
I
not
can
sure.
see it going either way, 'cause
Yeah, I'm not sure it really matters, because they're different sets of regulations, different jurisdictions. I mean, you're evaluating it under Wetland Protection Act, they're evaluating it under Title V. They're both pertinent, but I'm not sure one.
They should all three should be completely independent of one another.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially if that's the case, you would leave it more up to the applicant. So like if I knew I had something here that might be tough to get past through, say, the Board of Health, I might go there first, or if I had something that was like right on top of a lake, you know, I might wanna go to the Concom first, you know? So I could see it both ways, but I guess the only frustrating part from this side of the table would be hinging one approval on another. Cause that's, especially DCR, it's like, yeah, okay.
Now, that situation that you described about it was a stream, the beavers did such a job on it, so now we actually have a pond there, so to speak, right? Now, I thought the surveyors were taking from the edge of the water, if they're surveying, and they were going out like 28 feet or so, I don't know the exact
So if,
measurement.
when it comes to the Wetlands Protection Act, that's absolutely true. But when it comes to the Watershed Protection Act, it's a nuance of that act.
Okay,
Because what's protected under the Watershed Protection Act is only what's on the map. So in this case, the resource that's on the map is the actual stream channel.
yeah,
So the stream channel is what sets the primary and secondary buffers.
but you
And-
can't
and-
find that stream channel.
And the actual edge of wetlands, when it comes to the Watershed Protection Act,
Okay,
really doesn't matter because the wetlands are not protected in this case by the Watershed Protection Act.
okay,
They're only protected by the,
all right.
Wetlands Protection Act, right? Did I get, yeah, did I say that right, or did I mix them up?
That's so clear.
Yeah, isn't it though?
It's perfect.
Sounds like government talk.
It's perfect.
You have to talk like that when you have a DCR filing. They're, yeah, they do a lot with those 10 pages of code.
You understand
I only have some awareness of this because I lost about an acre and a half of land because of this kind of a situation.
Because of DCR?
Yeah, because of DCR land being surveyed and
Yeah.
changing where it was. They couldn't find the center of the stream anymore, so.
So if this map showed a stream surrounded by wetlands,
Yeah,
the edge of wetlands would govern. But because this only shows the stream, only the stream governs. So on new construction, I've had a case where I actually had to go out there and prove to the DCR where the center line of the stream should be or would have been. So, because that, you know, that had a lot of bearing on new construction.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you can get some scuba gear, go.
Yeah, it was, yeah, I didn't,
You-
I did my best. I'll
You
leave it at
walked
that. I
out
didn't
and
do
when
too-
you
yeah,
stunk,
I-
you did, okay, so
We made it
great,
work,
yeah.
It passed the straight face test. But theoretically, that's the answer.
So the location of the field right now is, it's as close as you get to the house and to the well, or
Yeah, the limiting factor is the well
Okay.
offset,
is it?
and it's all mowed field, and this allows it to work by gravity as well.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it looks good.
So what, this is an existing house and just a
Yep.
repair septic system?
And actually, it is, the actual system is out of the buffer. I was able to keep it out of the buffer, it's just the grading is going into the buffer,
Okay.
so it's
Okay.
not too bad.
Do you
Big-
have-
Big system, but.
Do you have any, board have any comments or concerns? Any public questions or comments? Okay, if there's no more information, I entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second it.
All in favor? Now we can establish the order conditions as shown on your plan.
Yeah, do you want a reference or anything?
You want this?
Are we gonna start issuing our new order of conditions on these jobs?
You did on the last?
Well, I think we
30
should. It's a nice way to go, I think, instead of having to, you know,
Yeah.
rack your brain with
Is
each one.
Cause this wouldn't be, cause this is just a RDA, this would be a determination,
Yeah,
but I think the conditions
It does,
would still
have an
suffice.
opportunity to
Yeah,
amend the conditions.
yeah.
There's nothing exotic.
No. Do you mind if I take a look at them? Cause they new?
They're pretty easy.
Nice.
What's it called for?
Yeah, pretty good. Covers you on a lot of stuff.
Okay, can I entertain a motion to approve the order conditions as we just discussed and approve the project? Second? All in favor?
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Sign away.
Oh, yes.
Sure we can't get stamps?
Hey, anything's live now with the electronic signatures. Who knows what's actually signed?
Right.
Mark, you worked on Calmech on Worcester Road, right?
Yeah.
Are you still involved with them, or are you all done?
Yeah, yep. He's I haven't heard from him in a while. I only know because I go by there a fair amount, but I think he's clearing trees.
I did, somebody came by and informed me that they were clearing trees.
Yeah. Either way, if you want, you can have it.
Yeah, actually, I don't need it. And I'm just asking, because
I'll
last
say
I
Yeah.
checked, they hadn't recorded the order of conditions,
All right, I'll shoot him an email.
so
Make sure he
we
knows
can't
that.
sign off on the building permit. I don't think the building permit's in yet either, but at any rate, we won't be
Yeah.
signing off on it until it's recorded.
And I think that at the time was probably mailed to the owner, I would think, right?
It went to Calmech and like Winchendon, I think.
Yeah, let me check with him. He's had a couple different mailing addresses, so.
We went through a couple street addresses when I was trying to figure out where to mail it to.
Yeah, did it get returned?
We straightened it out at the time.
All right, I'll shoot him an
Yeah.
email, let him know, but he might need another copy, who knows? So I'll tell him to get on that quick.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, I'll tell him to get on it quick in case he does need another copy.
Yeah, because we need to get
Because
it signed, which
would
is
have-
always.
It would have to be like at a
adventurous.
meeting, right?
It wouldn't have to be a meeting, but I just gotta physically
Yeah.
get signatures
Get
from everybody.
Track everybody down. Yeah, I'll let him know that.
Sign something, right? It's been a long day already.
Yeah. Get a house after this, right?
Next, new item of business is request a certificate of compliance for 9 to 12 Pine Tree Lane.
Thank you. We'll see ya.
Good
to
seeing
see
you,
you.
Mark.
Same here. Good to see you.
So we,
Alright, so this certificate of compliance request, it's the condos on Pine Tree Lane at the base of Mount Jeff. Was originally approved for 5 units out back there. They built 1. And, the engineers,
we weren't,
the engineers did a new plan of what was, an as-built of what's out there. Wrong one. So there was a narrative that went along with this from the engineers, explaining what stormwater systems were put in. One system was not put in because they wound up not building 4 of the units that were originally intended. And that everything is working as it was supposed to be, and You wanna speak to this? I presume there's a real estate transaction involved that sparked this?
That's how we found out about it. So my wife and I bought the place in 2014, didn't know about the outstanding order of conditions when we went to sell it this past year. And that's when we found out, it's like, okay, what do we need to do? So, got Waterman involved, we're down in Northborough, and so they're local to us. We knew them. Got them to take a look, and I'm no expert, so I just came in case you guys had some questions I can answer. Like Waterman said, 4 units of the 5 were not built, and therefore, you know, they surveyed the system as built, and their belief was that the current detention area and whatnot was capable of handling everything. One thing that they didn't mention the last time I was talking with Waterman, we had put gutters and downspouts on. Tom knows the gravel out there, it's gorgeous. And so the impervious area of the roof doesn't even make it the other side of the pavement. It you know, drains either side of the fourplex. So that should help. It's only the parking area that's the impervious. And I'm way beyond my knowledge of the right terminology to use here, so I apologize. Anyways, hoping we could get it, you know, COC to put this thing to bed after 29 years, I think it is.
It's always the pending sale that gets somebody to realize, oh, we never asked for a compliance certificate.
So I'm assuming, have you read through the paperwork?
Yeah.
And that's basically what it says?
It was well thought out, well prepared. The engineers addressed everything that I think you would wanna see. It seemed pretty cut and dried to me.
Okay. Makes sense just on the few units that were built compared to what the original design was.
So this is the building that was built. This is a detention basin down here. This is a smaller one here. Those were on the original plans from '94 and got installed as they were supposed to.
So what'd you say, there were 5 units supposed to be built?
Yeah, I mean, they were gonna be like out here somewhere.
So that's not gonna happen anymore?
What the engineers pointed out was that your original order of conditions, you know, expired back in '96 or whatever.
Yeah. So if someone's
So
gonna
if
do something,
something
they're gonna
else
have
is,
to get
if
new.
some-
New
yeah,
order of conditions, that's all
There'll
this
be a
is
new
about.
application
Okay.
if something new happens out there.
All right.
And I'm sure everybody knows, he mentioned the gravel, Bates Pit was right across the street and they had beautiful gravel, so that has the same. But I think the key is that engineering company wrote up stating that.
It made it easy for you. I mean, it's really tough if somebody comes in for a certificate of compliance 20 years after the fact, and all you have to go by is the original plans. You know.
Right. Send us out and start wandering around out there to
Yeah.
see if we can find anything. Or
But a new
Yeah.
professional
Yeah.
opinion is really valuable.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what does that entail? Do we need a motion on that? Do we just sign off?
Well, yeah, both.
Okay.
All right. Do you have anyone has any concern, Rich, Tony, or
I make a motion that we.
Approve the
Just
certificate.
sign off on this
Okay.
new, issue
Second.
a new
I'll
order of
second.
conditions.
second Tom? All in favor?
Aye.
I mean, we have something here that's designed and stamped, so.
And some or all of us kinda know what that area is
I only
like
got-
up there, what the drainage is.
I only got paper copy, I think, of this. I'm go-
Okay, what does that mean?
I'm gonna request a PDF from the engineering firm.
Okay.
I mean, it's easy for them to provide.
Sure. Yeah, in fact, I think they probably sent me a PDF of it. I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah, I'm not positive. I think I only got it in the mail, but I'm not gonna swear to that. If I don't have one, I'll ask for one.
Sure. I could offer to, forward my copy, but you probably, would prefer to get it from them, I imagine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Send it to me.
I'll, yeah, I think I'll get your email address. I think you were on one of the email chains, with Waterman, that they forwarded to me. Anyways, why don't you give it to me?
If so, I must already have it, but I'll give it to you anyway.
Okay.
I'll give you one or two.
I've never signed so much paperwork in one night in my life. Is it?
It's kicking ass.
Remember those meetings that used to be 5 minutes? What happened to them?
So, at the risk of asking a really stupid question, I came here looking for a certificate of compliance. Did I hear you say you were gonna issue an order of conditions?
No, I said that.
Okay.
Forget it.
Okay. I don't know, start it all
That
over
is
again.
over with.
No,
We're gonna make you start
certificate of
over.
compliance.
Nothing we can't solve in the next 29 years.
Right.
It was a good question. I'll give you a good answer.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm sure they told you so, but having that paperwork and that documentation made our life easy.
That's what I thought you guys would love to get this thing signed off, closed off.
Yep.
So that's great, everybody's happy. Now, the other fellows had to record the orders of conditions. Is there, something's gotta be done to close?
Yeah, you have to do the same.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's
you
something
had to-
Waterman would do, or I assume, or?
If you have a lawyer involved with the real estate transaction, they can do it.
Perfect.
Water, they're probably the best choice.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Welcome.
And we're keeping this? I assume.
Yeah, I suppose.
All right, that's, case is closed then.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Make sure you have everything you need. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Do you live in the one unit that has been built there, or?
So, so there were 3 fourplexes, the 2 up front, and the one out back is the one this is all about. I never lived there.
Oh.
So, long story, my father-in-law, built it, and, his plans were to build 5 of them, and, for one reason or another, he just never continued on. My wife and I ended up buying it from from his estate, and, we had no idea that the, outstanding order was there. Didn't find out until.
So now you get that straightened out.
Yeah, hallelujah. Thanks so much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
All right,
Have a good
thank
one,
you.
Tim.
Good seeing you.
All right, next order of business is, forest cutting plan for Evergreen, set the flag.
Yeah. That's here somewhere. As far as I know, you guys don't have any action item on
No.
forest
No,
cutting plans.
it's not
just-
really.
It's just a
Approved by the-
notification,
Approved by the state, forester, and so on.
but it's,
Just a heads up for us.
yeah. It's a lot on Evergreen Road.
Because sometimes they'll actually be cut before we get the plan.
Absolutely.
Just curious.
And sometimes beyond what they're supposed to cut.
It's not a big cut.
Well, not when you do it, but.
Well, this isn't a big cut, I know, 'cause This is
No.
where you voted already.
Mostly pine and 3/4 of firewood and 39,000 board feet.
What's that doing off of 10 acres or something?
All around the house.
I don't think there's any house on this lot.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, is there?
Yep.
9.5 acre lot.
House, around the
That's
solar
right.
panels.
All right, very good. The next order of business then is the status of recruiting for a new Concom member. We have Brian here, who was nice enough to come by to watch the proceedings, to see if he could, had any interest in joining, so.
Was Greg off yet?
Is this a typical meeting?
No,
No.
Easy shorter.
yeah. This is probably 3 times what we normally get.
Yeah, as far as volume, we generally, there's periods where there's very little that's going on. We're going through a period of quite a bit of growth, so there's been a lot of new construction, I would say.
Yep.
That seems to be slowing down a bit. I don't know how it'll be this year.
If the interest rates stay where they are,
Yes.
it won't be growing.
It's gonna slow it down, yeah. The meetings, we do meet 12 times, well, occasionally we
Skip a meeting.
skip a meeting. If there's nothing going on, or it's holiday time. If there's really nothing pressing, sometimes we'll skip the meeting, so there's probably more like 9 or 10 meetings a year for, we try to keep it to an hour or so. And then we do occasionally have site walks, which are pretty interesting. See what's going on out there. And anything else?
See if you can get your crutches stuck in a hole or something.
Yeah, stuck in the mud. Found the wetland.
He'd be perfect with you, Tony.
Yeah, he got crutches. And I can't walk.
Right.
So a lot of the site walks, because of work, I can't make, but between the 3 of them, they get up there.
So, is that something you're interested in?
Yeah, I have some experience dealing with Concom. I'm interested in proceedings and things like that, so yeah, I'd be interested.
Nice. So the next.
Form he's gotta fill out? I think there's a form right there. I think I had to fill out a form.
It's been a long time.
You're appointed.
Appointed by the
Yeah,
select.
So,
appointed.
yeah, there is a form somewhere on the
Yeah.
website, that you submit and ask. I'll have to, let me get your email address, I'll track it down and,
What a guy. That'd be good, then we have to be full strength, in case someone's out. We need 3 for a quorum.
Right.
We usually, everyone's been great at showing up for the meeting, so.
Do we have any interest in having an alternate, where we have other interests? I don't know if Mr. Stahl would have an interest in being an alternate.
Do we have, is that any,
Well, that's been a legitimate thing over the years, when there's been enough interest, and in fact, I think before I got on, I was an alternate for about a year and a half.
We could try that. I think it's like anything else, if someone wants to be an alternate, if we don't use them,
Well, they can certainly be here for the meetings
Yeah.
and,
yep.
you know.
If someone's got some interest in that, that's great.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I mean, I'm not planning on passing away in the next.
Good to
couple
know.
of days.
Thanks, Tom.
Especially the next 10 minutes,
But,
please.
you know, it would be nice to have someone ready to go.
Oh, God, that is something. Whoever plans for that anyway.
Well, there comes a time too when, you know, it might be time for me to
You
move
say,
along.
yeah.
just-
You do have, you know, it might come to the time when you know it's time to stop.
Well, I mean, I think I told you that, you know, I would probably look at this for another year and, you know, and then I'll look at it again. That's
Right.
all.
You know, as long,
Honestly.
it's interesting, as long as you can have a couple laughs, it's kinda good.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. I like getting out and, you know, seeing the people.
Yeah. So, is that something you'd be interested in? Is it?
I'm certainly interested. I mean, you've seen me at a number of the meetings. It's all depending if the board thinks that it's worthwhile having an alternate. I guess you benefit in that I'm here a lot of the time anyhow.
Yeah, you're an
And-
honorary alternate as it is.
So if somebody can't make it in or is late, you know, you don't have to wait, you know, you can say, hey, Mike's here, you know, you don't have to show up, or something
Well,
like that.
Well,
an alternate
that-
doesn't,
yeah, you know,
yeah,
it's a non-voting.
you don't have a vote.
Oh, okay,
All you do is get to listen
Experience. Yeah, okay.
and be here.
It's
and-
more of like a succession plan.
Yeah,
you
kind
know,
of, exactly.
is one of your benefits to that. And then you get somebody that's knowledgeable if in fact they wanna run, or you've gotta fill in for part of the year, you know, it gives you flexibility. So for me, it doesn't really matter. If I'm designated an alternate, then I'm gonna make an effort to be here, you know? I mean, not that I don't already make the effort, but it'll be a stronger effort, I guess, is the point.
Well, you certainly have the interest, I would say.
Well, hopefully that's been already demonstrated, that for about the last year, I guess, I've been
Yeah.
showing up to probably half the meetings.
What is your background as far as, I mean, I've spoken to you and
Oh,
I
yeah.
know you've got a handle on a
Yeah.
lot of this.
Academically, I'm a civil engineer. Okay. And I was a PE and a professional engineer in another state. I don't have an active registration, professional engineer registration in Massachusetts. Not that that's a requirement for being on the board or an alternate, but that's my background. I've had responsibility under me for real estate, natural resources, and environmental regulatory requirements. You know, I had a department that covered those, but I was the guy that had to show up at the public meetings. I was the guy that had to review and approve these things. You know, I had technical experts under me for that, but I got exposed to an awful lot of natural resources and environmental requirements, and I took an interest in it. So that's sort of my background.
So as an alternate, you could probably answer some engineering questions that
Sure.
or certainly have the ability to find the answers. I know when Tom's daughter was here, it was nice to have an engineer on board, so. Well,
Well, if you count me, that would make 3 civil engineers on the board, or on the commission. We're taking over!
Yeah. Oh, they usually do.
all right.
So one more thing I just wanted to touch on, and the reason I talked about approving the septic first before coming here. So the criteria that they're looking at when they do a replacement septic is they have to meet Board of Health regulations and ours. I think the Board of Health actually trumps, in my mind, trumps what we're doing.
And mine too.
I would rather have the well and the septic distance maintained, and maybe have them come into something else, rather than that have be compromised.
Right. Yeah,
So-
cause those are minimum distant requirements and stuff like that, I mean,
Right.
you gotta do what you have to do there.
So that's why, that was my thought process on why it should go to the Board of Health first.
I mean, you've put in
Yeah.
a lot of these systems, so
Yeah.
you've got a glimmer as to
And
what
you
should
were
be
on
done.
that.
Yeah. Chair for 10 years. So I think that's, that would be the order, if you asked me how I would do it. I would be concerned with the health aspects first, and then the environmental. I'm not saying they're less important, but maybe I am.
They are less important really, cause they're not like putting a septic leach field in the wetlands or in the, you know,
Yeah.
it's a compromise, but it's still, normally, we have a lot of leeway there.
Oh,
You guys wouldn't ever ask a engineer to change their septic design though, right? Or would you?
No, I can't imagine.
Well, let's put it this way, if there was something that was blatant, that looked like,
They were trying to get away with something.
yeah, well, why did this get put over here when it can be put over here?
We've asked that question before.
I don't remember, in all the time that I've done it, I don't remember any of them ever getting kicked back by conservation.
I
So
think
what-
all I've ever asked is why they're not wrapping a tank in some cases and things of that nature, but
Yeah,
it's,
What do you mean wrapping a tank?
protecting it, putting a seal around it so it can't
Oh.
leak. I mean, a lot of times these tanks are only 10 feet from the house and, or the water, and not like that one, Common Pond.
Yeah.
That, fortunately, that tank had been wrapped, so when they had to widen the driveway, wrapped isn't the right word, but,
yeah, they have watertight.
but they make them watertight so they can't leak. And when they had to do a lot of widen the driveway 10 feet, they would not have been able to do it had it not been that that tank had been wrapped.
They have different ways to do it, they could do monolithic pour, which is basically, the tank wraps all the way up and just a cover sits on it.
Yeah.
Then they can do vacuum testing, so they can seal it.
Or
So
they
that-
seal them with a bitumen sealer, just like you would a foundation. And that's the way I've seen
Yeah.
most of them done. So that's the only thing that I know about them. And I've questioned it on some of them where they were close to the water
Yeah.
and things like that.
Title V, the minimum is 10 feet from the building.
Yeah.
And if you're curious, it's the inside of the wall, not the outside.
Oh,
Interesting.
Inside of the wall.
More useless information.
Well, no, that's not useless, because
Well, it's obviously come up before.
I looked at one, and the measurement was 10 feet from the building to the outside of the
Yeah.
tank. And I truthfully did not know
Yeah,
that it was to the inside of
yeah,
the tank.
it's the inside.
Okay. So,
And then
better go ahead and dig that up.
Elevation plays a difference too. If the tank is low enough, below the basement floor, then it can be closer.
Huh?
Well, maybe that was the case.
Huh. So much to know,
Yeah.
so much to forget.
Correct. Why do I remember what I?
How do I know what I know?
Any other,
So did you guys reach a conclusion on alternate or not?
Oh, I think it would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to, I don't know the answer as to whether that goes through the same appointment process from the
Yeah, see, I
select board or
I
not.
don't know that
I'll-
either.
I'll find
It's
out.
been it was too long ago.
all right, so we collectively agree that it would be a good idea to get Mr. Stahl to be an alternate.
I know where to find you.
Okay.
If there's paperwork involved, you'll get it.
Very good,
We get that vote, Brian?
What?
Do we have to vote for Brian, or?
Oh, I guess,
We gotta fill out paperwork, but still.
yeah, well, do we have
can
any, does anyone have any concerns, or I make a motion, we welcome Brian with open arms,
vote. Only if he gets rid of his crutches pretty soon.
Oh, trust me, I'm trying to get rid of these.
and, is there any, everyone in favor of?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be considered a bribe if I give him a ride, would it?
Okay, so that'd be great,
Why you want crutches, Brian?
Broke my leg, Friday the 13th, January,
Okay.
skiing at Wachusett.
And you know whose house
the
you bought?
weird thing is, the house you live in.
Dawn's house.
Yeah. It might have been the same tree.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
I
need a
told
tree,
him
so.
Oh, you didn't tree, good.
That's like, she said.
That's too weird.
I told him, I said, it's
Is there any
fine.
ghosts over there?
Not that I've seen.
Good. No money and no ghosts. Good.
Cindy Jones.
Yeah, yeah, up on the hill.
I
Okay.
was thinking his brother on,
No, no, up on the hill.
I didn't think they were selling.
Is there any other administrative or commercial or what?
Yeah, there is.
What is it?
That letter that went to the Board of Health before we even looked at any of the paperwork.
Yeah.
I thought that was wrong. Should never have gone.
What paperwork, what?
Yeah, I'm not,
The Lombard Road, you sent a letter to the Board of Health before we even looked, before we even opened up a meeting on that. That's wrong. You don't send out letters unless we tell you to send out letters. You're a secretary.
That's probably fair.
Yeah.
I mean, we had received Julian's application package.
Yeah, but we
which-
hadn't
but
seen
you
it.
hadn't, yeah,
We hadn't even had a meeting.
yeah.
You gave that to them on Monday. We didn't have a meeting till Tuesday. That was wrong. We did not authorize you to write a letter. You're a secretary.
Yep.
You're not supposed to make your own decisions here.
Yeah.
This is a board. So,
Very well taken.
other than that.
Mike Stahl, 5 Lombard Road, can I just ask what the address was, or who the property owner was on this issue, Rich?
That was for the people who just hit.
Oh,
Berthiums,
Berthiums?
yes.
Okay, alright.
and.
Yeah, just in full disclosure, if everybody's not up to speed here.
No.
Yeah, I'm not.
Julian's package, which is right here. And this isn't a defense, but it's an explanation.
Yeah, but there's no,
Cause you're right. I mean,
Yeah,
that-
it shouldn't
that-
have never
that
went.
should- That should not have gone out. But the package, and this also is not a Concom jurisdiction question. But the application that he sent us included a map that showed that there was no possible location for a septic system on that property. And I forget exactly how I couched it, but I was asking about that.
you sent them a letter stating that they needed DCR and DEP to do a site walk before it was approved.
No.
That's
I didn't
what
hear that.
Kathy read in her meeting. I watched the meeting,
Yeah, well, I,
and it was before we even had it here,
Yeah.
Right.
So just,
so,
obviously, this is be straightened out today, we don't have a
Right.
problem with that, you do wonderful minutes. There are timelines too that follow along with that, so I believe that lot was pre-existing of when some of the regulations came in.
that came up in our last meeting with the river, with the wetland protection
Yeah, yeah.
regulations.
Yeah.
Which Julian addressed. with his revisions to the plan.
No, I'm just,
At any rate, yeah, I mean, you're right, and I had sorted that out in my own head
Yeah.
before tonight, that, I didn't have any, or should not have had any involvement in this, but,
I think what we've
Yeah,
tried to do, and I
mea
think,
culpa.
I think everybody on the board would probably agree, if you're driving 31 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, you're breaking the law. But I don't think any of us look at it quite that detailed. I think we look at it more, Hubbardston's our community and our family of friends and acquaintances. And we just try to, our job, at least how I look at it, our job is to guide them along to meet all the regulations they can. So.
Right, help them.
I always look at it, I've been on the other side of the table, and I had to go to DEP. There was a time where this board was not of that mindset. And I had to go to DEP to get DEP to convince the board that what I was doing was okay. Now, that worked out, but that was one of the reasons why I got on the board, because I know what it's like being on the other side. So I think what would, or at least what I'm trying to say is, try to give everybody that comes in, and I think Joe Aries used to be on the Board of Health for Gardner, and he told me, he said, I'm gonna tell you, when somebody comes into a board or a conservation, they usually have one problem. Don't have them leave with two problems, meaning work with them, try to help resolve, or get it so they can do what they want. Obviously, we have to follow the rules.
I was on this board when it wasn't a friendly board, and they thought that they owned the world, and it was not a good time. You know, like you say, it was not good for the people coming in, it was not good for anybody, so I think the way we've been looking at it, trying to help, and is a better way to do it.
Right, well, this, yeah, this rule like pre-existing lot, I mean, there's no, whether, like the one on Old Westminster Road, like, that we looked at, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
some of these things, they're gonna go, if they can legitimize the thing, it's gonna go, because it's, there's a law that says you can put a house there.
Well,
You
I'm
know,
sure,
whatever.
I'm sure if that neighbor hadn't protested.
Oh, there'd be a house there now.
There would be a house there now.
Right.
And he was an architect, not an architect, he was a draftsman. And he knew his way around conservation, and he also knew Julian, and he
Yeah,
he
so
he
I-
fought tooth and nail.
I will say that this was not an official communication from the Concom. And I'm gonna go back and review it, and I'll send it to you as well, out of full disclosure. I just, the politics are poor and should not be repeated, but I'm also not I mean, it was not sent under the aegis of, this is an official opinion from the Concom. And I'm also not a dedicated clerk only for the Concom. I'm involved in a number of different issues. But this is one I should not have been involved in.
Well, you do a hell of a job,
Yeah.
Mark.
Right. That's what I say, you know,
But just to give you an idea, so that lot you were just talking about, how there's not a house there, that was more based on monetary, because the landowner that was pushing it didn't wanna spend any more money to fight that fight.
Oh, that's why they finally stopped.
Right, correct.
But also, we had the DCR come down and look at that, and they went over a lot of the measurements, and some of the measurements were off.
Yeah.
yes.
So like Julian said, he got a B on that chart.
G or C or whatever.
Yeah, we're still.
And,
That was a-
It was more like a D, but
That was a wet lot though.
But it isn't our job to go out and to measure what the engineer does either, I mean, you know,
Yeah, that's why they have a stamp,
yeah.
Yeah, so
a removable stamp.
that's one of the problems that we run into is most of them the engineers are pretty up straight, they're signing off and putting their stamp on it, but, some will try to wiggle as much as possible. You know, I guess that's the way it is.
Yeah, well,
In
that's the
world.
way it is.
That's the way it is in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the way it is with the wetland
That's the way-
scientists.
What I always lean on too is, so everything that we do here at this table gets reviewed by the state. If they think we're out of line, they'll let us know. So, are all of us, well, obviously a good number are PEs, but the rest of us, I suppose I can't use that statement anymore, can I?
Remembered.
Yeah. But I think that's our backup. And then if we're missing something, I'm sure they'll let us know. And I think we have a pretty good relation with DCR, with the things that we've been on with them. I think we both come along. And then Tony, with how he reads the wetlands, I'd put him up against any wetland scientist on matching where that line is. And I think he proved that with a cell tower now is. There was another game going on there too.
Yeah, but, you know, we all learn as we go out and do these site walks, we learn.
Yeah.
I know I've learned a lot. I don't say too much on them, but I keep my ears open, and maybe I learn a little bit every time. All right,
All right, anything else?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
I-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good evening.
Paul,
You
thank
too.
you.